Welcome to episode 1 of a new series I'll be starting on my channel called Weakpoint Wednesday. In this series I'll be dropping a new video every single Wednesday, and it'll be on a different muscle group that might be a weak point in your physique. I'll be covering its anatomy. I'll also be giving you ways to implement it into your training based on the splits that you might be following. And I'll also be giving you what I feel are the most optimal exercises for developing that specific muscle group, along with techniques and tips as I go through. So first, before we begin, I'd like to define what a weak point is. A weak point is simply a muscle group that's lagging behind in development compared to another muscle in your body. It could be because of genetic differences or just simply because of bad exercise selection, technique, or form. So with weak point training, you want to specifically put emphasis on that given muscle group that you're trying to bring up. This is done by increasing its training frequency and also gradually increasing weekly volume and performance for that given muscle group. I think the number one problem that most people make is they increase basically everything in their programs. They don't really specifically target that weak point, and it's not really developing better or more than other areas in their program. So I think you can risk overtraining by doing that, and I think you really need to specifically target what that weak point is, make the adjustments in your program, and set everything at a maintenance volume. So in this week's episode, I'm actually going to be covering the chest. So I think it's first to understand how the anatomy of the chest works so we can properly organize our exercises to target the chest the most effectively. So the chest is broken into two major sections. The first is the upper, which is the clavicular head, and the lower, which is more of the sternal head. You can, no matter what exercise you do for your chest, you're going to be working the entire chest. However, you can isolate different areas and different regions of the chest just simply by understanding how the muscle fibers run for that for this given muscle group. So with this, in this video, I'm going to be giving you exercises that are the most optimal for targeting those and for actually bringing up that weak point, which is your chest. So now that I've covered the anatomy, I'm going to move into some ways you can structure it into your training if you're running some of the common splits. So before we start organizing our chest training in our splits, we need to first know how much volume and how much frequency we need to hit the chest with. So based on studies that were done, most people respond the best to a volume of 15 to 25 sets per week of chest training. So because it's a weak point in your physique, I think it's best to push that upper limit of the 25 sets per week. You may want to start around 20 and just kind of see how that volume does in terms of if you're not used to high volume training, just to see your recovery needs and to see how your chest responds. But based off being a weak point in your physique, I would definitely push volume here. So I'm going to be up around 25 sets per week of chest training. In terms of frequency, it was also found that training a muscle group twice per week was more optimal for growth as opposed to once. So because of this, we're going to be training the chest twice per week. So we need to take both those things into consideration when we're designing our split. So now that I've covered volume and frequency of the chest training, now I want to dive into actually how you would organize it in one of the common splits. So I'm going to be covering the 3 most common splits that I see people using these days. The first being the upper-lower split, the next one being the push-pull leg split, and then the third being the bro split. So how to organize your chest training based off hitting it twice per week while having a volume, like a weekly volume of 20 to 25 sets per week. So in terms of the upper-lower split, you're training your body twice in 2 different sessions. So you're doing day 1 upper and day 2 lower, and then you're just repeating that. So in terms of that, you would have your chest training obviously on your upper day. So you'd have day 1 would be your chest, your shoulders, your back, your arms, whatever you're training on your upper day. But you'd have your chest volume in there. You'd be prioritizing your chest on your upper days. So that's one thing that you definitely want to do if you're trying to bring up a weak point. And then the day 2 would be your legs, which would be your quads, your hamstrings, your glutes, your calves. And then so on day 1, you'd be training chest, and on day 3, you'd be training chest as well. I'm going to bring this up on the screen so you're able to see what I'm talking about. But if you're splitting your chest training up and you're aiming to get 20 to 25 sets per week, then let's say you were to go in on day 1 of your upper split and hit 11 sets. And then the next time you were to go in, you would do another 11 sets. So you'd have 22 sets. And then you would see basically how your body responds based off those 2. And then you kind of want to gradually increase your frequency maybe to a maximum of 25. So that's kind of how it works for an upper-lower split. And now I'm going to dive into kind of more of a push-pull leg split. So if you're running a push-pull leg split, you would kind of do the same as you would do for the upper-lower. Your split just kind of changes a little bit. But in terms of like your push, you're doing your chest, so you definitely want to prioritize. Like I said, you want to go in, you want to hit your chest first when you're full of energy, and you want to make sure you're getting your volume in for chest, and then have everything else follow. I think that's very important for weak points. You don't want to be tagging your chest on the end of your workout when you're tired. So in terms of a push-pull legs, you're dividing your training up into 3 different days and you're just repeating. So on your push days would be your chest days. You'd be doing chest, triceps and shoulders, and then your pull days would be your back, your biceps, maybe rear delts, and then your leg day. So on day 1 and on day 4, like I said, it will be up on the screen so you can see, you definitely want to prioritize that. So your frequency is still hitting your chest twice per week, and your volume is, let's say you were to go in and do 11 sets the first day, and then on day 4 you were to repeat and you do another 11 sets. That would be a total of 22 sets, so that'd be kind of just how you would organize it in a push-pull leg split. But yeah, I definitely can't stress enough the importance of recovery. So make sure that you're dividing your chest training up. If you're doing one heavy or you're doing one light day, make sure you have enough recovery time in between to really make sure that you're hitting your chest hard each time you go in. So now that I covered a push-pull leg split, I want to kind of go over the bro split if you're running one of those. So that will be covered next. So if you're currently running a bro split, there's a lot of different suggestions in terms of why bro splits aren't effective, and I would kind of agree that they really aren't effective because you're not able to get the frequency of the training. But in terms of the chest training, if you want to schedule that in a bro split, it's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit harder to get the rest of your volume in for your other muscle groups. But if you are running a bro split, then what you could do is you could come in and your day 1 would be chest. So you'd come in on let's say you would come in on Monday and you would hit chest, and then you would follow that up with day 2 being back, day 3 being legs, day 4 would be a rest day, and then day 5 you'd come back in and hit chest again, and then day 6 you could do shoulders, arms, maybe even abs if you wanted to, and then day 7 would be a rest day. So everything else is getting hit once a week and chest is getting hit twice a week. And you could do that if you're running your bro split. I could see that could be kind of effective for bringing up your chest. So like I said, you could do your 11 sets the first time you do chest, and 11 sets the second time you do chest. And like I said, work from there. But the problem with that is that you're only hitting every other muscle group once per week. And you definitely don't want to be trying to go in and doing a bunch of volume for that, because like I said, you could risk the chance of overtraining. So I think that in terms of splits, I would probably stick to more of an upper lower or a push-pull legs. Honestly, the push-pull legs is probably the most recommended in my opinion, just because of the you're able to kind of hit everything and organize everything more effectively, and you're still able to target your weak points. But that's how you would do it with a bro split. Alright, so now that we've covered volume and frequency and we've organized your chest training in one of the common splits, whatever one you're following, now I think it's time to go over some exercises. So these are what I feel are the most optimal exercises, especially if you're trying to bring up a weak point, being your chest. So yeah, I've organized it, like I said, I've organized the volume into 2 different training sessions, day 1 and day 2 for your chest training, and I'm going to be including all the sets and reps. So you're able to kind of have something to follow, kind of like a program, I guess you'd say, and definitely give these ones a try. And like I said, this is just my opinion on what I feel are the most optimal. Yeah, so if you're ready, then let's begin. Starting with day 1 of your chest training, so this would be the exercises that I would include. The first exercise, when you're fresh and full of energy, would be the bench press. This is the king of all chest exercises. This is a staple in any chest program, in my opinion. You're able to progressively overload with this movement. You're able to load the bar heavy, and you're really able to put a lot of pressure and tension on those pecs. So hopefully that will be able to, this will be your main heavy compound movement. So in terms of sets and reps, you want to focus on more of a heavy, so you want to work in the lower rep range. I would go 6 reps, and I would go three sets. So you want to do 3 sets. That's working sets. If you have to get up to your working weight, count those ones as warm-ups until you reach a weight where you're comfortable, where you're able to hit 6 reps for 3 sets. You want to aim for a last set RPE of about 9 to 9.5, and you want to make sure that you're progressing each week, whether or not you're adding weight to the movement. And I definitely would use a spotter if you're trying to progressively overload from week to week, just in case you need that extra hand on the way up. But definitely aim for 6 reps. Like I said, you want to progressively overload, so you want to either add a set, or not a set, but you either want to add weight or you either want to add a couple of reps. And until you're able to kind of go up from there. But yeah, definitely the bench press, and you definitely want to make sure you have your form in check for it, and definitely this will be your first exercise. When you're fresh and full of energy, you're going to be kicking things off with the bench press. So the second exercise is the low to high cable fly. This is a great movement because after finishing your first heavy pressing, you're really able to stretch things out with a fly movement. And I chose the cable because you're able to, the cable provides more of a comfortable range of motion, in my opinion, and also it provides more tension on your pecs the entire time, and time under tension is basically one of the driving forces behind hypertrophy. So I feel like this is a more comfortable movement, and it's going to increase the time under tension placed on your pecs. In terms of the sets and reps, I would do 3 working sets, and I would aim for 10 reps. It's a little bit higher reps in the first one because you want to kind of it's more of an isolation exercise, so you kind of want to drive more blood in there. But yeah, in terms of this exercise, like I said, try to get a last set RPE of about 9 to 9.5 on this one as well, so you want to make sure it's challenging. And to improve your mind-muscle connection, I would really focus on squeezing the entire time. You don't want to be rushing through this. You want to be able to perform it slow and controlled, and you want to really pause maybe for a second and a half at the top of the movement to really get a good squeeze on the pecs to make sure you're really developing that mind-muscle connection. And that could be one of the reasons to why your chest is lagging, is because of the poor mind-muscle connection. Yeah, so this is a great exercise. So give the low to high cable fly a try, and the reason why it's low to high is because it's going to target the upper chest, because it's going to run the way that the upper chest fibers run. So this is going to be going from a flat bench press that you're hitting the entire chest to more of an isolation style exercise for targeting the upper chest with this low to high cable fly. Alright, so the third exercise is going to be the chest dip. This varies from the tricep dip because you have a slightly, you lean forward a little bit to put more emphasis on the chest fibers because that's just kind of how they run. So in terms of this exercise, I would definitely recommend starting it off with assisted until you feel comfortable doing body weight. And I'd say a good gauge of this is once you can perform 15, if you can perform 15 reps with your body weight, then you definitely want to start adding weight by wearing a weighted belt or kind of holding a dumbbell between your legs. Either one works depending on what gym equipment you have available to you. But this is a great exercise for functional strength. I think it's always great to include a body weight exercise because if you're able to control your body weight, then you're going to be able to progress and it's going to be more functional towards your other lifts. So I think this has a great carryover for improving for your other lifts, like in terms of your lockout for your overhead press, and you can even improve your bench press. So the more you're able to lift with your own body, the more better off you're going to be. So that's why I chose to go with the chest dip, and I would prefer the weighted variation just because you're able to progressively overload from each week, and that's the goal with this exercise, is you really want to try to add either a rep, like I said, same thing with the bench press, add a rep or add weight from week to week. So you're going to be doing 2 sets of the weighted dips, and you're going to be aiming to hit 3 reps. And like I said, you want to probably get an RPE of about 9.5. You want this one to be challenging as well. 9 to 9.5, and that's going to be the third exercise. So you got your bench press, then you're stretching things out with the low to high cable fly, and now you're going to be hitting more of a body weight exercise with the weighted dip. Alright, so the fourth and final exercise is going to be the incline dumbbell bench press. I think it's very important to have a good mix of barbell and dumbbell movements because the barbell allows you, with the bench press there, what you're doing is you're able to progressively overload with the barbells, and the dumbbells require more use of stabilization muscles. So I feel like having a good mix, that's why I included the barbell and then the incline dumbbell press. In terms of the bench angle, I would probably aim for about 45 degrees because that has been shown to see the most optimal results in terms of the bench angle. But yeah, this is a great exercise. You really want to focus on picking a weight that you're able to control and really squeeze. And in terms of, in my opinion, you can never have enough upper chest. I feel like that's lagging behind for most people, me included. So that's kind of why I would definitely focus on building up that upper chest, because it kind of makes your chest look a little bit more round and it brings your chest more to life, I guess you would say. So in terms of the sets and reps, since this is going to be your last exercise, you're going to be doing 3 sets of 12 reps, but on the last rep, I want you to do a static hold. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to hold it in place for anywhere from 30 to 45 seconds. So you want to make sure when you're picking your weight, you're taking that into consideration. And by doing this, you're going to increase your metabolic stress that's placed on your muscles. It's going to increase the time under tension, which I said, like before, is the main driver, one of the main drivers for muscle hypertrophy. So this is kind of an interesting variation to throw at the end. And this is definitely going to burn out your chest and finish your chest off. So that's going to conclude day 1 of your chest training. As you can see, I'm going to bring it up on the screen so you can summarize it so you can see. I can't stress the importance of actually using the priority principle and hitting your chest first when you're fresh and full of energy, because since it's a weak point, you want to bring it up, you want your most attention to be towards that. And in terms of actually tracking your workouts, that's also very important. You want to make sure that you're keeping detailed logs of your training to make sure you know how much weight you used the previous session, how difficult it was. And this is all done by being able to self-assess yourself by using an RPE and be as honest as possible with it too, because that's going to determine how you're going to adjust your training and your weight. So an RPE is basically on a scale from 1 to 10 how difficult you thought it was. 9 being maybe you had 1 left in the tank, and 10 being you just couldn't do another single rep if you tried. So really take time to really self-assess yourself. And in terms of like also tracking your progress, I definitely recommend taking like progress pictures before your chest training block that you're starting your periodized training block for your chest. Make sure you take progress pictures to really show the difference. Sometimes it can be hard when you're looking back whether or not you actually made progress or not. And also take chest measurements too, because I feel like those are the most accurate way to really know whether or not you're putting on that size on your chest. So like I said, yeah, that's gonna do it for the day 1 of the program. And I'm actually gonna move into day 2 of the program now, because you're gonna be training the chest twice per week. As you can see, the weekly volume I put up there is gonna be 11 sets. So I'm going to try to aim to get 11 sets in day 2 as well. And I've also included the rest time, so you're able to know how much time to rest. So it's going to be acting as like a workout program for you guys to give a try. Yeah, so that's, like I said, that's going to include day 1. So now I'm going to move into day 2. So on day 2, we're going to be kicking things off with the incline bench press. Like I previously mentioned, most people lack the upper chest development, and I find that the incline bench press is the best exercise for building that nice thick upper chest, just because you're able to progressively overload it much better. So that's why I chose to start off with this exercise, because this will be your main heavy progression exercise, so you always want to start off with that. I really like focusing on building that strong mind-muscle connection with my chest, and by doing this, I lower the bar slow and controlled. And you really want to avoid bouncing the bar off your chest. I see a lot of people doing that, and honestly it's not really great for building that chest, so you really want to keep the time under tension and not bounce the bar. For this exercise, you'll be performing 4 sets of 8 to 10 reps with a last set RPE of about 9 to 9.5. The reason why the RPE is given is just to ensure you're pushing yourself. Every set you do should be challenging, and because you want to get the most out of every training session. So at the end of the day, you're the only one to really know if you did push yourself. So make sure you're pushing yourself hard through these sets and you're really self-assessing yourself with the RPE. The second exercise is going to be the PEC DECK MACHINE FLY. This is a great isolation exercise and allows you to focus on really squeezing your chest on every single rep. Once again, stretching your pecs out after the first pressing movement with being the incline bench press. A little tip that I like to do when doing these flies is to focus on driving your bicep to your chest. I find that when I focus on really doing this, I find that I'm able to get a nice deep contraction in my chest. And for this exercise, I would recommend performing 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps and reach an RPE on the last set of about 9. It's a little bit lower than 9.5 because you want to have some left in the tank for the next exercise, which I'm going to go. So the third and final exercise is going to be the dumbbell press. It's opposite to what we did in day 1. If you notice, day 1 we started off with the flat bench, and then we did the incline dumbbell press, whereas day 2 we started off with the incline bench press, and now we're doing the flat dumbbell press. Yeah, so I feel like this is a great exercise, for the same reasons that apply. You want to include both barbells and dumbbells. Dumbbells help improve the stabilization muscles that you're able to recruit, and it's also good for strength and muscle imbalances if one side of your chest is bigger than the other. And this happened to be the case for me, so I like doing some dumbbell work definitely in some of my exercises. For the dumbbell press here, you want to perform 4 sets of 12 to 15 reps with the last set RPE of being 9.5 to 10. This means that you're pushing it really pretty close to failure or even at failure. So this was going to be perfect for burning out your chest to include in your last exercise of your day 2 chest program. Alright guys, so that's going to conclude episode 1 of my new series called Weakpoint Wednesday. I hope you really enjoyed the video and took something from it. I'm going to put the full chest weak point training both days up on the screen so you're able to see them. Definitely give them a try. You're definitely going to have to, it's going to take a lot of patience and consistency if you're trying to bring up a weak point. You just can't expect to do it for a couple weeks and notice a difference. I would recommend probably for 6 to 8 weeks, just really focus on one muscle group by just singling that out in your training sessions and prioritizing that. And like I said before, make sure you take progress pictures and make sure you take measurements to really show the difference. As I find sometimes looking back and you don't really know how much progress you made until you have some pictures to look back on, so definitely do that. But yeah, definitely give this workout a try. It's an awesome workout. It's definitely going to help improve your chest. I feel like the upper chest is the most important for overall development. I feel like that's, like I said before, it's lagging for most people and it's lagging for me, so that's kind of just the priority, is just focusing on those, progressing in your heavy movements with the bench press, and then including some incline work. But yeah, so that's the program there. So in terms of it, you'll be seeing a new video every single Wednesday from this series. If you want to see more videos from me, I also have a clean bulk series where I drop a video every single Sunday. That's going to be more geared towards my workouts. It's going to be geared towards more educational style videos, motivational, nutrition, exercise techniques, that kind of stuff. So I have two upload schedules a week now. It's going to be Weakpoint Wednesday on a Wednesday, and it's going to be my Sunday. So that's 2 uploads a week. And yeah, definitely hit that subscribe button because I've got a lot of, like I said, I've got a lot of content coming. I'm going to have an organized playlist for this series along with my clean bulk series. So definitely binge watch those if you want to check that out. And in terms of the video, definitely give it a like because it kind of circulates and it raises some awareness for my channel, which I would appreciate. So yeah, also comment below any of your favorite chest exercises that you like, anything that you do that's unique for your chest that has helped you bring up your chest. I would love to hear them. And I guess that's going to conclude it. So until next Wednesday, I'll see everybody and hope everyone has a great day. Peace out.